Many people want to pray, but they're held back by shame and fear. You don't need the enemy to stop your faith in God. All he has to do is make you believe that God won't hear you. This is where many people stop praying, not because their faith is gone, but because they believed a lie. Let me ask you, how many times have you stayed silent, thinking you're not worthy to enter God's presence? How many nights have you wanted to pray, but shame whispered, "Don't bother. He won't listen." What if God hasn't actually left, and it's you who's hiding while he continues to call your name? This message is for those who want to pray, but are defeated by shame. For those who want to draw near to the Lord, but don't know where to start. Stay with me until the end, because step 4 is the most important, and very few truly know it. Sometimes our faith isn't lacking. What's missing is knowing how to approach God with courage and trust. Many ask, how do I pray when I feel too ashamed to approach the Lord? Do you know why shame wins? Because we forget that prayer isn't about being perfect. It's about a heart willing to return. Listen carefully. These 4 steps can completely change the way you communicate with God and set you free from shame. Step 1. Be honest with God about your heart. The first step to overcoming shame in prayer is honesty. You don't need to pretend everything's okay. God isn't waiting for a perfect prayer. He's waiting for a heart willing to admit pain and failure. 1 John 1:9 says, "If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us." Shame disappears when you realize that God still accepts you, no matter how many times you've failed. You don't need a lot of words. A humble heart is enough. Express what you truly feel and show him that you're ready to be guided again. Sometimes the deepest prayers come from a broken heart, even through tears. God sees not just your wounds, but also the living faith that remains in you. When was the last time you spoke to God without holding anything back, saying, "Lord, here I am, and even though I'm weak, I still trust you"? Step 2. Seek God when you feel he's far away. When you don't feel God's presence, maybe he hasn't left. Maybe you've drifted. Sometimes we get so busy running in every direction, we forget to return to his path. James 4:8 says, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you." God hasn't gone anywhere, but sometimes we slowly drift away. You don't have to chase his presence, just return to him. Sometimes the best prayer isn't, "Lord, please let me feel you again," but "Lord, teach me how to find you again, and help me walk continually in your presence." When was the last time you spoke to God? Not because you needed him, but because you missed him. When you return to his presence, you'll notice areas in your heart that need letting go so you can hear his voice again. Step 3. Surrender your burdens to God. Sometimes you don't need to pray louder. You just need to release the things you've been holding onto for so long. 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you." God doesn't get angry when you bring him your burdens. He wants you to release it all so he can fill you with peace. Sometimes the most powerful prayer isn't, "Lord, help me," but "Lord, I'm exhausted. I give it all to you." Admitting your weariness isn't weakness, it's the beginning of true rest in him. What burden have you been carrying in prayer but haven't let go of yet? Write it in the comments, even one word, as a symbol of surrender to God today. It's not just a word, it can also be a light or a guide to others, helping them see the importance of God's guidance in their lives. Step 4. Plant yourself in God's presence. What happens when you don't just return to God, but root your heart in His presence? You'll experience more than prayer, a new life of peace, assurance, and mercy. Matthew 6:33 reminds us, "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." Planting yourself in His presence every day will change your heart. God will move in your life, heal your wounds, and replace fear with hope. All the previous steps, admitting, seeking, surrendering, prepare you for this moment. This is the time for full trust. You don't have to fear shame. You don't have to force your words or worry if they're perfect. God is there, quiet yet real, always calling, always waiting. This is a moment of spiritual breakthrough. You won't just hear God, you'll feel Him. A presence that cleanses fear, restores hope, and strengthens faith. This is prayer lived out every day. Are you ready to plant yourself in God's presence and let Him grow new life in your heart? Type "I'm ready" in the comments if yes, and let others experience God's presence through your testimony. Now that you know the 4 steps, don't just watch, start practicing them. Pray, humble yourself, return to His heart, surrender your burdens, and plant yourself in God's presence. Like, share, and subscribe for more guidance and messages that draw you closer to the Lord. Remember, true power in prayer isn't in the words you say, but in the courage of a heart approaching God with humility and trust. Always remember, your struggles and victories are God speaking to your heart. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.